Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to Caramulo Motorfestival from the heart of Portugal, here in the center region of Caramulo. We are back for the final day of this fantastic event, where we join competition and the story of the automobile industry, with some parades in the middle and a lot of fun and a lot of animation and experiences that are related to the automobile industry across the years. With me, I have Adelino. Good morning once again. We are back. We had fantastic 2 days yet, but this is the final day. It's the end of the party, and it's normally the day that we get more people. We had thousands of spectators here throughout these 2 last days, but this is the last day. Traditionally, it's the day that gathers the biggest crowd and the biggest end of this event. So, Adelino, everything is set up, and we are already with some of the cars starting his hill climb races.
Yes, it has been a fantastic day yesterday, and the spectators were able to see the cars going up in anger and fury up the hill. Of course, the Chrono Master category, they go a bit slower because they're concerned about their average speed, but it also allows to actually, for the public and the audiences, also to see a different, a very varied array of vehicles. So it has been all in all great. For us here, it was the opportunity to actually receive Carlos Tavares, a very well-known petrol head, that, well, his day job is actually to lead the destiny of the Stellantis group. But on weekends he is known to actually enjoy very much his motor racing, and it's a privilege for us to be able to be with him and speak a little bit about his passion for racing, but also about the future of industry. We had that opportunity yesterday, and well, the highlight of the day was obviously to be able to speak with Emerson Fittipaldi.
Yes, the main guest from this event this year.
Yeah, he's here celebrating the 50 years over his first world championship. He's also, of course, the first Portuguese-speaking Formula One champion, and for the Portuguese enthusiasts, we always have a very special spot for Brazilian racers for that. One of the things that I would like to clarify is that yesterday we said that Ayrton Senna won the 1984 Portuguese Grand Prix. Of course, it was the 1985 Formula One Grand Prix in Portugal, his first victory. 84 was the magnificent duel between Alain Prost and Niki Lauda that gave the Austrian driver the championship by half a point. So I stand corrected on this, and now we can start to talk about what's going to happen today.
For now, we have a slight pause moment to prepare the next group of cars that are going to go up the hill. With this short course, it's quite under 3 kilometers, but it's very fast and also very technical. The overall record of this course, it's 1 minute 14 seconds, 0.6. It was done obviously during the Portuguese National Championship of Hill Climb with an Ozella PA 2000 in the year 2017. The owner of that record is Paulo Ramalho. Is here, but displaying a small Mini, not with the Ozella, so he's participating in a different gentleman driver's view. But he is here, and he owns that record, which is fantastic, an average speed that is totally absurd, let's call it like that. But in the hill climb, we know it works like that. This is a very fast, very narrow street, tarmac street, that takes us up the hill, no exit, it finishes there. So that's why we need to have these stop moments, because the cars need to gather on the top and then come back down. Adelino?
Yeah, actually, we are looking at the rear of that beautiful Simca rally. It's a very significant story. Because this car belonged to Jerónimo Lacerda, the son of João Lacerda, the founder of the museum and the collection. Here we have the car. The history of this car is amazing because several years later, the son of Jerónimo Lacerda, João Lacerda, found the car and restored it again, and now he uses his father's car regularly, and it's great to actually see these historical objects to be able to be used in anger for racing, which is of course what they were made initially for. So there are several modern cars here. There are also some continuation models that were built in modern times, but we also have a very significant historical automobiles racing here at Caramulo, and also of course the bikes that we cannot forget, and we hope that we are also able to show you some of the amazing motorbikes that go up the climb later on today.
And we are already with the start of the climb for this group of cars. Fantastic drone image, 90 degrees shot. Here we still have one of the guests co-driving, because we also do co-drives for the audience and for some of the guests. This moment we have the Lexus LC500. It's a fabulous V8, more than 480 horsepower. This is the cabriolet version. Tiago Rodrigues is driving this Lexus. This is the entrance of the museum.
There have been, but this is actually an opportunity for the audience to be able to experience the thrills of a hill climb. And there are some very experienced racing drivers also here, providing this co-driving. Manuel Gião, for instance, is there with driving a Kia EV6, so an electric car, through the hill climb, and everyone comes out of it being amazed by the fact that the car is so quick and so composed around the corners. But we also have Francisco Sandy Castro. He raced in the late 70s and 80s here in Portugal, and with a great experience, and it's always of course thrilling for the public to participate in one of these co-drives.
Okay, we have already, it was
that's a Caterham 7. It's a really fast car for this type of race. Very light, of course, and it's the continuation of the of the Lotus 7 that was created by Colin Chapman, and it is a very simple car, but
now we have the BMW also.
yeah, it's an E30 325i version, a 6-cylinder car. These cars were, of course, very famous in racing, both in rallying and hill climbs and circuit racing. And they had legendary dices with Mercedes-Benz on DTM, so perhaps the most famous of the association of the E30 in its M3 competition version.
We will continue to accompany this hill climb. Now we have the Citroën Saxo kit car, or Hugo Lopes, typically car that you can see on rallying. But here also not wanting to be away from Caramulo Motorfestival, and then he brought the car. He's a driver from Viseu, a fantastic city here, quite next to Caramulo area. Hugo Lopes, a young driver. A young driver rallying mostly, as we can see also as the way that he's approaching these turns. At this moment we have the Peugeot 1008 DKR, the Dakar version of the Peugeot. At the wheel is Gonçalo Magalhães. This car belongs to the football coach André Villas-Boas. He's also a petrolhead, total petrolhead. He has been enhancing his car collection recently, and one of the acquisitions is this Peugeot 3008 DKR. We also have, from André Villas-Boas, the Citroën C3 WRC, the unit of 2019 that was used by Ezapeka Lapi in one of the World Rally Championship events. And this is the end of this group of cars to climb. We will go back to Adelino that now has Richard Hazeltine with him for a little bit more of talk about Caramulo Motorfestival.
So now with me I have Richard Hazeltine, a motoring writer and a journalist. He came here to watch the event and see for himself the atmosphere that this event conveys and its unique characteristics. Richard, how are you enjoying your time here at Caramulo?
Oh, very much. It's lovely to be back after, I think, 3 years. So, and it's grown massively in that time. So yeah, no, it's fantastic. Any excuse to come back.
Yesterday you were actually able to drive a car in the hill climb. Can you tell us a bit about that experience?
Well, I was trying to learn the car and learn the course. So yeah, I was spectacularly slow.
It was an Alfa Romeo
1900,
yeah. A coupe, a very beautiful car. From the I think it's 1956.
1956, yeah, touring bodied, very, very rare, quite valuable. So yeah, no pressure. But yeah, no, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, any excuse.
Okay, so what do you think makes this event unique and with its own character?
I think, well, apart from the location, which is fabulous. I mean, it's just so beautiful around here. It's the, I think it's the enthusiasm of, well, the participants, the crowds. I think the team here are remarkable. I think they've done an incredible job, and it's all based entirely on passion. So, yeah, and I think people respond to that. I know I have, so.
Were you able to stroll a bit around the collection, the car collection?
Absolutely, it's incredible. It is kind of a world-class collection. I mean, they've got sort of, you know, like Bugattis and some incredible cars belonging, well, once used by royalty. So yeah, I mean, it's staggering.
Were you able to pick up a couple of favorites, or?
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's everything from like Type 57 Bugattis, one of which is going to be appearing here, I think on the hill later on today, which I was fortunate to drive here about 4 years ago. That's sensational. But yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous Ferrari 195, the Mercedes Gullwing, you know, it's, yeah, I'd have any one of them. So.
You will have an opportunity to go up again in the Alfa Romeo. What are your expectations?
I think very, very slow and steady. I think that's pretty much my speed. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it.
Well, you are of course used to many events, particularly in the UK, where of course there is a huge amount of cars and public. And what do you think? Do you think this is an event that you recommend to your friends and to car collectors too?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, what's not to love? I mean, it's like you said, it's just, there's a beautiful location. Like I said, the people are so passionate about it. I mean, they're here because of purely for the love of it. So yeah, it's very, very hard not to respond to that. So.
Yesterday I was actually doing some other thing, but I was able to caught the fact that you were talking a little bit with Emerson Fittipaldi. For guys like us that were born well in the year there where he was crowned world champion, and it's really special to be able to be around someone like him.
Well, I mean, he's just got charisma to spare. I mean, he's everything you hope he will be. He was absolute delight to talk to. So passionate still. You get the impression that he'd love to still be out there racing. I mean, I actually got to see him race 1993 Indy 500, so I was telling him about that. So, yeah, it was amazing. I can't believe I saw him when I was, I don't know, 20 years old. And all these years later, I'm up a mountain in Portugal talking to him, and he was so cool. Yeah, he was lovely.
Does he also like to talk about the early days in Brazil when he and his brother actually made cars that they race?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the thing that I was quite shocked that the thing he most wanted to talk about was he and his brother Wilson. They built Formula V's, in go-karts, but they also built a very special Volkswagen Beetle, which was tubular frame, glass fiber body, and it had 2 engines. And this thing actually it qualified in the front row. I think it was Interlagos opposite Ford GT40, and there was an Alfa Romeo TB33 behind them. And he desperately wants to find that car. It sort of went missing many years ago. But yeah, his eyes lit up when he was talking about it, far more than Formula One, which kind of amazed me. But yeah, he's still, yeah, very passionate.
He had a very fast rising career.
Meteoric.
Meteoric. Well, today it would be much more difficult to do that, but sometimes we also, you know that, but not every driver that actually rises up fast like that is very successful. Is there? You think there's a formula for that?
Oh heavens, no! I don't think you could repeat, like you said, they could repeat what he achieved. I mean, he went from Formula Ford to Formula One in a little over 12 months, and he would have been in Formula One probably 6 months earlier. I mean, Colin Chapman offered him a drive, and he said, "No, I think I need to do a little bit of Formula 2, get a bit more experience." And he came in and he won his 4th Grand Prix. I mean, that's a staggering achievement. And yeah, world champion at 25. So yeah, and then 2 years later he won it again. He should have won it in, I shouldn't say this as an Englishman, but he should have won it in 73. I mean, I think he was unlucky not to. It obviously went to wee Jackie. So it's, yeah. But yeah, I mean, he also talked about obviously leaving McLaren when he joined McLaren, then left to join his brother Wilson in his own team, and I don't think he regrets it. And I know he probably could have won at least one more world championship, but you know, he wants to create a Brazilian super team. And he was also saying that one of the employees when he was running his own team was a very young Adrian Newey. He was quite proud of that. He gave him his start in Formula One. So. But yeah, lovely man, absolutely delightful.
Yeah, it was really great to meet him. Was the highlight of yesterday. Thank you very much, Richard.
Oh, thank you.
Best of luck for your 2nd and 3rd and 4th try with the Alfa Romeo later today.
I'm going for slowest time of day. That's my.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The cars are now returning to Parc Fermé after this hill climb, and they will go up again. we will now have a new series of cars. Now, in the screen we can see the Falcon. That's actually a Portuguese car. It was made in the late 1920s, and it had some racing history here also in Portugal, and has been maintained in an important collection in the north of the country. They are now saying their goodbyes, but they will come up again, I'm sure. And it's of course the basis. The basis was the Ford Model A. It was actually a very popular vehicle, well, all over the world, but also in Portugal. And there were several companies that prepared the car for racing, for performing well. It's a four-cylinder car, but with a very large capacity engine. And it was a car that could be made to perform very well. Of course, Portuguese enthusiasts are very proud of the heritage of the Portuguese cars. There are not that many, and most of them could actually be considered specials because they are derived of serial production cars that have been transformed in order to perform better in competition. Nice Toyota Celica, and of course the hood of Porsche 911 that always appear in these events. Also a Ferrari California. And Alfa Romeo is actually having co-drives with his new model, the Tonale. And reports said that everyone is actually very impressed with the composure of the car up the hill, even though it's of course a road car. We have a glimpse of the Simca Rally again, and also the Citroën Saxo kit car, and a very orange Porsche 911 GT3. You can also see on the right the main building of the museum, where there is the art collection and the area for exhibits, and on the left you can see the area of the car collection. That's where about 70 classic cars are maintained, along with several dozens of motorbikes. You can see that the event actually extends for a large area. There is the automobilia section, there is also the area for street food, and parking areas that are for the moment still available, and waiting for the car clubs that will be arriving during the day. There's also the area there where there is an exhibit of some car brands like Aston Martin and Kia.
I don't know if you can
see. We're already now
Adelino.
seeing that the cars are starting to line up again for another ride. This is the Fiat Barchetta, very nice little cabriolet.
With Michel Vaillant on the wheel. I don't know if you noticed.
Miguel Trindade.
I have with me now Miguel Trindade. He's one of the directors of the Alfa Romeo Club in Portugal. Miguel, the clubs are of course at the core of any event like this. So what's the importance for the Alfa Romeo Portuguese club to be represented here at the event with your cars and your associates?
Thank you very much for the invitation to be here. It's a pleasure. Actually, I'm the new president of Alfa Romeo Club of Portugal. It's the oldest club in Portugal from Alfa Romeo. It was founded in 2001. And of course, an event like this is super important for clubs, mainly Alfa Romeo, which has an history in Alfa Romeo racing all over the world since 1910. And we must not forget that we are the fathers of Ferrari. They came, it was born from Alfa Romeo. So Alfa Romeo must be present in these events. It's a brand that is coming back, and effectively the new management, Carlos Tavares, is making a nice job. I would say a spectacular job with new brands coming on the way. New cars, interesting. And we have a great history. In Portugal, we have about hundreds of members at the club. We are all over Portugal. So when we got the invitation from Salvador and to be present at Caramulo Motorfestival, we had to say yes. And we came here. We have about 20 cars in the exhibit. We had some last Saturday that were the oldest versions of Alfa Romeo. Today, we changed a lot of the cars, and we have some more recent models. Recent, I mean, from the 90s, 80s, and the beginning of the new millennium. And we have a 155 Q4, 156 GTA. We have the 33 1.7 16-valve boxer, which was iconic when I had 20 years old. It was the car that we all wanted, with the sound of the engine. And I think that's one of the things that petrol heads love, is the sound of cars. And Alfa Romeo, from all the brands, when we hear an engine revving, it's easy to identify that's an Alfa Romeo. We have here also a car from a GTV6 that is racing, and each time it goes to the starting grid, everybody turns their heads, because the Busso V6, when it's screaming, everybody hears it.
Okay, thank you, Miguel. It was great to have you here and talk a little bit about the presence here of Alfa Romeo. I hope you continue to enjoy the event. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, and I invite all the Alfisti that are in the event or will be coming to the event to visit our stand. See if they want, they can become members of the club. We have a lot of events. Next weekend we're going to be at Porto in the Douro region, making a trip on the vineyards. So we have a lot of events this year, and just check out our webpage, alfaromeoclubdeportugal.com, or on our Facebook, and you're all welcome to join us.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We continue with an aerial view here at Caramulo Motorfestival. You can see also on the left there is an all-terrain vehicle area. Sometimes there are some Jeep Willys working and playing there alongside more modern vehicles. We can also see the hotel right here at the top.
Yes, a fantastic panoramic view here from the Caramulo area. And yes, this is not only about cars going up the hill. There is every year, and it's growing up year by year, all the experience areas that are set up by the organizers to allow the public to be entertained and to also do it as a family experience. For example, the retro park, where here it's they gather here some of the vehicles that have also marked history at the service of our army forces and safety forces, from the army, from the air force, from the firemen, from the traffic patrol, from the police. So they have a specific area where you can see also cars from many, many years ago that are gathered here, from Volkswagen Beetles to a Porsche the Porsche from the
356.
the 356, yes, from the traffic patrol. They still have one certified unit from that magnificent model from Porsche. For example, you also have the Jeep attack area, and on that place they gather the military vehicles. Also a place reserved for the two wheels, the Bikersville bike car track area that is reserved for the two wheels vehicles, for the motorbikes, from the 50cc bikes to the more powerful ones, historic, classic, bold cruise, and also the more modern ones. We have already started again with another group of cars going up the hill. We also have air shows, so during the weekend animation never stops, and of course the concentration of several brand-specific theme groups that flock here to Caramulo from various brands, from Ferrari, Aston Martin, Porsche, Fiat, many brands that specifically on this weekend get organized, and they then set their course for Caramulo to be here, all gathered together. Normally we have parades with all of those cars. This year, because of a specific situation of fire hazard, those parades will not happen as we wished, but hopefully next year it will happen again. The car that is on the start line is one of the Alfa Romeos that we had the chance to see the images a few minutes ago.
Yes, it is an Alfa Romeo Giulia GT from the mid-60s, and yeah, it's a beautiful car designed by Bertone, and this one is one of the early models with the step front indicators. It's also called the Scalino, and now we have the GAP engine of the Morgan Aero. It's actually a 1929 car, 3 wheels, with what is a motorcycle engine, and I was able to talk with its owner yesterday. Ian Stewart is from Scotland, and you can see all the details of. He says that the car is actually quite fast and stable, and he actually told me that he can go faster on the corners if he corners just on 2 wheels like a motorcycle. But he told me, of course, that it is very dangerous, which I can only imagine. But he seems to be able to drive the car quite fast here at Hill Climb. He also told me that in 34 years of ownership, he only rolled the car once. So that's kind of reassuring.
Yes, totally. You're right. You can see that the co-driver here on the left is acting just like the co-driver on a sidecar moto, also trying to shift the weight one side and another to try to compensate the G-forces on the turns. Here on the start, this fantastic noise is from another of the Alfa Romeos.
It's an Alfa Romeo Alfetta, but it is the GTV6, which means the car has a 6-cylinder engine. Usually it's easy to spot because of the bulge on the bonnet. These cars were actually very successful here in Portugal in the 1980s. They raced in the Portuguese Circuit Championship. They were very successful with drivers like Rufino Fontes.
Fantastic shot from our director with this drone image of the start of the Alfa Romeo.
This engine is called a Busso V6 because it was the name of the engineer that actually conceived this V6 engine. very famous engine that was used in a great variety of models in Alfa Romeo through, I think, until at least the 90s. So it was all a car that, an engine that was in almost 20 years in production, meaning that it was actually very good to start with.
All the attentions are normally gathered here in the base of the course, especially this year, because also the public is not allowed to go the full way up for the same reasons that we don't have the parade. So it's high alert state because of fire hazard. But here all the action is also happening down here, and the live stream helps a lot for us to still have some images from the cars going up until the top of this almost 3 kilometers course.
Behind us we now have an Alfa Romeo Spider, a car from the 80s. I think this one is from 1988. The Alfa Romeo Spider was launched in the 1960s. There was actually a competition in Italy for people to be able to choose the name of the new Alfa Romeo Cabriolet, and they ended up choosing Duetto, which is actually a beautiful name. But it was not very widely used commercially, the name, and it ended up just becoming the Alfa Romeo Spider, and it went and it stayed in production until the 1990s. This is actually a third series car. It already has the cam tail, but it's a bit hidden with this plastic wing that it was common and sought after apparently in the 1980s. This model actually appeared in a Samantha Fox movie clip at the time where MTV was all the rage and everyone wanted to see the video clips of the music stars.
The beautiful ladies, they never go out of fashion. Now we have an Aston Martin starting his way up. And the next one is a car that we also don't get to see that much. It's a Ford Probe GT.
GT. It's actually a very rare car. I think it's the only one that we have here in Portugal, an American car. But its owner is actually very keen and proud of the car, and he tries to use it as much as possible. And it's great to be able to see it here, mixed up with all the other machinery.
It's a different car. We're not used to see these chassis around, so.
José Pedro Graça in the Ford Probe GT Turbo from 1989. They have different categories here, and these cars from this age actually run in a category called Future Classics.
Yes, it's almost there. 23 years old. 33, not 23. There he goes, the Ford Probe GT going up the hill in Caramulo.
Yeah, we now have the aligned also already the Honda NSX. It was a junior supercar made, of course, by a Japanese company Honda with a V6 engine.
And the signature of Ayrton Senna well visible on the pillar of the car.
It was a car that was so competent and so very well made that you could use it actually every day for everything, which was very uncommon at the time. It was a usable car with great performance and extraordinary handling. It was famously fine-tuned by Ayrton Senna, that it was at the time a McLaren Honda Formula 1 driver, of course.
On the start we have Luís Sousa Ribeiro with another fantastic classic unit here at Caramulo.
Yes, it's the Riley. It's one of the oldest cars here. It's a Riley TT Sprite, a car from the 1939. great engine. The Riley is an English brand that made some very special little sports cars and race cars. And they were used extensively in circuit racing, but also in trials. And they were light and significantly powerful with a modern engine, usually with overhead valves and a very capable engine, and also tunable to be able to extract more performance. So it's I think it's the second oldest car here after the tricycle, the Morgan three-wheeler. I have now with me Miguel Lopes. Is here representing Van der Hol. It's an American company that actually builds very exciting three-wheelers, modern cars. Miguel, how are you enjoying the event so far?
The event are great. It's been great to be here with Van der Hol. It's a new concept of fun, of course. It's very fun to drive, and right now it's been very pleasant to be here.
Okay, and what are the, well, you have a couple of cars here, a couple of units of your car, which is, well, a very simple model. When we look at it, it doesn't have a roof. It's just a car mainly for fun. One of the models actually has doors, but the other one doesn't. So it's actually a car to have fun, but is it fast?
Is it fast? Of course. And let me just just complete. We have a version with doors and roof. Then you can take off. That is the caramel version, and then we have the Venice version that you don't have roof, neither doors. Okay, it's just a chassis that is it's a little lighter than the other one. Okay, it have a weight of 670 pounds.
Okay, Miguel, thank you very much for being here with us and presenting us a little bit about Van der Hol. I hope you continue to enjoy your weekend here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The cars are continuing to go up the hill as it's going to happen today until the end of the event. On the start line, a Porsche Carrera 4. And behind him, again, the Falcon. The car that you were speaking a little bit ago. Portuguese make.
Yes, the Falcon is the Portuguese made car that I talked before. I spoke about. It's driven by Pedro Filipe and Margarida Patricio. They will be going up the hill in this 1928 car. That actually makes it the oldest car here present, with a Ford Model A engine, a four-cylinder car with 3.3 liters capacity. It was built at Porto by a self-taught engineer called Eduardo Ferreirinha. And it's quite fast, actually, starting here near the museum and is going all the way up to the top of Caramulo. This cigar shape was actually typical of these cars, with no headlights to add air resistance.
And the perfect aerodynamic shape at the back, at least. It's
Yeah, and at
The
the back
drop
they
shape.
of course have the gasoline deposit, the petrol deposit, and it's a car that appeared here before, and is always very appreciated by the audience. Being a Portuguese car, we see him sliding a bit the rear at that corner. Pedro is clearly having fun.
now it's the Subaru Impreza GC8 that is preparing also to start. A car more suited for rallying than for hill climb, but always really fun to see it in action. Very fast start, four-wheel drive, boxer engine, flat 4, line 4.
Lining here now, we already have a Lotus Elan. It's an SE version. It's a drop head coupe version, so that means the convertible. And these cars were of course made by Lotus, founded by Colin Chapman. It has a fiberglass body, and the chassis is in a Y shape. So this car is very, very light. The engine, well, the block of the engine was provided by Ford. They had 1.5 and then 1.6 liter engine capacity, and they had the twin cam overhead, the twin cam head made by Lotus that could allow these cars to have more than 110, 116 brake horsepower, which made them actually very, very fast. As they are very light, it means that they can perform very well, and they were also very successful in racing, circuit racing, and hill climbing. At the start, we can now see the engine, the idle and the RPMs of the Saab Sonnet. It's a Swedish-made car with big bumpers, so that actually means this is probably the United States version with the side indicators on the sides, precisely. And this is a front. This is these cars had usually a V4 and a V4 engine made by Ford. A strange little car, but its shape is very much appreciated here, contributing to the diversity of the cars that participate here at this edition of the Caramulo Motorfestival.
On the start, another one of the Porsche units that we have here, plenty of them. It's sunny as usual in Portugal, so here we have the no rooftop version with Porsche Carrera 4. We are still with the Saab Sonnet on the images, just advancing the information.
We have to remind our viewers that they are doing a regularity trial, so yes, the Porsche 911 964 generation was the first one with four-wheel drive. It was a significant improvement on the previous generation, the G Series 3.2 Carrera of the 80s.
And after this Porsche, we will have the exclusive Renault Spider. Here it is, a beautiful
yes,
unit.
it's
Modern,
an
but
interesting car, and actually it's surprising that Renault actually produced this car and sold this car on its showrooms. This version doesn't even have the windscreen. There was another one that had it was a possibility to have a windscreen. It was not very beautiful, but at least it was a windscreen. This one, to drive it, you have to wear a helmet, so otherwise it would be safe. It has a 2-liter engine. It's the same engine used at the Renault Clio Williams, with a 4-cylinder 2-liter with 150 brake horsepower, so it makes the car quite fast. I think the top speed would be around 215, 220 kilometers an hour, so that's quite fast. And 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in less than 8 seconds. So a fast car. Mid-engined, of course, the engine is at the back, and a rear-wheel drive. We now have the Toyota Celica. Toyota entered the Portuguese market in the late 60s, early 1970s. The car was very impressive for their reliability, and it always had a cult following, particularly the Celica. That was, of course, also used to great effect in rallies. And, of course, the Portuguese have a great connection to rallying, and seeing these cars racing in 1973-74 in the Portuguese rally made a big impact on the audience.
Here we have the Toyota Celica swirling up the Caramulo hill climb course. And now back to another one of the Porsches that are present here, GT3.
A GT3 for the 996 generation of the Porsche 911. Very powerful car.
And I can assure you that we are going to continue with another powerful car. We will go there next. Still we see the Porsche going up also.
Yeah, it is the Ferrari California. It's of course a car from 2009. It races in the category modern cars. A V8 engine at the front.
Repeating the info that you were approaching a few minutes ago, these cars are participating in the Chronomaster category, which is reserved for the regularity average speed competition. So they may not seem very fast, but the goal here is to set a reference time and then try to stick to that reference time from the start to the finish of the course. And then, of course, speed will also be relevant for the final classification, but here regularity, keeping the same pace in across all the stints, across all the going up, will be the goal. And there goes the Ferrari California. And after this Ferrari, we will have here a small Formula. It's a Formula V. It's already on the start, and we will see it.
Yeah, this should be José Carvalhosa with the first Formula V car that's going up the hill. It's a car with a 1966 specification. Of course, Formula V was a series of single-seaters made with Volkswagen mechanics, and the suspension and the brakes, the gearbox, and the engine. They were, of course, all sourced from Volkswagen original parts. So this was a very affordable series and a way to provide an experience for young drivers, or not so young, that wanted to try their luck and hone their skills driving single-seaters. Tinha assim. I have now with me Miguel Costa, the CEO of Aston Martin Lisbon. Aston Martin is present here with several cars, some participating, the exhibition also. Miguel, what's the importance of an event of this kind for your company?
It's very important because we are a car company that loves motorsport, so we are pure petrolheads, and of course it's very important to us show our pieces to public in general. That we have right now some cars, some models that are not very usual to see on the road. Show all of Portuguese people to come here and visit us.
And what do you feel about the atmosphere? People are very keen to do several hundred kilometers just to be on top of this hill and see all these cars and talk with each other. How do you characterize this, the atmosphere of this event?
For me, right now in Portugal, it's the most important event related with cars and motorsport. Here we can find cars, old cars, cars from the current years, and also cars from the future. So it's very important, and I think the atmosphere is very, very fantastic.
You have a very unique experience, having worked with several special and exclusive brands of automobiles prior to Aston Martin. I would really like for you to help us find out what makes Aston Martin cars and the Aston Martin tradition and craftsmanship so special.
Yeah, so our cars are unique, so probably the most beautiful cars in the world. I think that is the one of the biggest characteristics of Aston Martin, and exclusive cars and gentleman cars. So very easy to drive, to go to the school with a child, and also to come here, put a sticker and do some racetrack.
What do you have a favorite model at the current line of Aston Martin?
Yeah, my favorite Aston Martin is the DB5. For the current models, which one that I like more is the Vantage.
Thank you very much, Miguel, for being with us and talk a little bit about this. And I wish you a great that weekend continues to be great for you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, another Formula V up the hill climb. We still have quite a few. These cars were all built recently for a series of racing here in Portugal. to remember the great moments of the Formula V in Portugal. These cars raced in very historical venues here in Portugal, like the Montes Claros circuit, a smaller version of the Monsanto circuit, which was used for Formula 1 in 1951 for the Portuguese Grand Prix of that year. But they also raced at Cascais Round the Houses circuit in the 1960s, and also at the magnificent Villarreal circuit, the long version, not the one currently being used. So these cars were at some of the best and most historical circuits in Portugal, but they were also used on hill climbs, and they provided a great experience for not a lot of money. They are not very powerful, of course, Volkswagen derived machinery, but they are very light. At the start now, we have the only original Formula V that raced here. It was built and assembled by a company that was called Palma and Morgado. They were specialists for racing cars. They actually used to provide help for the Ferrari and other teams when they raced here in Portugal. This is a Palma V. And these cars, of course, have all fiberglass body, very light. You can see the torsion bars suspension that was used in the Volkswagen. All the parts were, of course, readily available, affordable, and easy to replace in case of need. And these cars actually had a very long life here in Portugal, being used way beyond the early 1970s. And sometimes they raced with the Formula Ford cars. Of course, the Formula 4 cars were much faster. We now already have at the line the Porsche 911 2.7 Carrera RS, one of the greatest 911s ever made, 1972 and 1973, not much more than 1,500 units made. Two versions, of course, touring and lightweight, almost race ready, and the touring almost as fast, but with a little bit more, some more commodities and a bit more sound proofing. But all in all, a very fast car with 210 brake horsepower and top speed of over 240 kilometers an hour. I have now with me Pedro Vilas Boas. He's driving here at Caramulo is MG Midget J2. It's a 1932 car. Yeah. So tell me, Pedro, you said sometimes you come rolling from the Alentejo, which is about 300 kilometers. Did you did it this time or?
I must say I'm an old bikeman. Old times people came driving their cars from going to the races. They raced and they went back home. I do this every every year.
So you did 300 kilometers from your home to Caramulo,
Everest, yeah.
and you will do the racing, and then of course you will go back in the same way.
Tomorrow I'll go back on the road again.
Okay, so
It's the cost of
of course. So how's the car performing here at Caramulo? What is your experience with this car?
Well, I must say I enjoy driving mostly. The regularity is where I can fit, because I have no driving license, competition driving license.
Sure.
But I want to drive as fast as I can. Unfortunately,
That's the spirit, yeah.
Yeah, but
Good man.
my car, the limit of my car is the limit of the speed that one can race here on the regularity.
So you don't need brakes going up the hill, probably not too much.
I don't use watches, nothing. Just drive.
As fast as possible.
Yeah, and so I am very regular.
So you end up actually being well classified, even though you're not caring much about the average speed. So, Pedro, you've been coming to this event for a few years now, even though you're of course a youngster. But would you tell me, have you been feeling the event evolving? What is your impression of the Caramulo Motorfestival?
Well, nowadays we say that Caramulo is a good word, the Portuguese good word. And I think it really is. The quality is coming up. It's well organized, it's good fun. So I think it's a very interesting event that should be kept for many years.
Do you think that next year you'd be bringing the MG, or do you have some new car that you'd like to present here?
For me, it's a tradition to come with MG, but I would like very much to bring my. I have a UMM that I race in Dakar in '87. I have it, and I would like to bring here. It's not a proper car to run uphill.
No, but actually it could be good, and especially because it's the same car that you raced at Paris-Dakar in the 1990s, I think.
1987.
87,
yeah,
okay.
The last time we ran in Dakar.
There is the all-terrain vehicle entourage and the ride, particularly the drivers that did very long rides. Do you think the community has similarities with the classic car community?
I'm sorry, I didn't get.
Do you think that the long ride drivers of all-terrain vehicles in the 1980s and 90s has similarities with the classic car community?
The classic cars.
Do people help each other? That kind of spirit that everyone wants to help each other to reach the end, in that sense?
I would say so, because it was very amateur. And the first Dakar was very amateur, and I think the spirit of the classic cars is gentleman driving and amateur driving, so I would say so, yeah.
Okay, Pedro, thank you very much for being here with us and sharing your experiences, and I wish you the best of luck and have some fun with your MG J2 today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be watching.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Manuel Gião is now lining up with the EV6, the Kia EV6, an electric car. Manuel, of course, is a very, very experienced driver. He raced in karts, he also raced in single-seaters all through Formula 3000, if I'm not mistaken. He was very successful, and he also raced sports cars, GT cars and saloon cars. And the most important, I think, aspect of this that I can share with you is that his father was the master of the Mini Cooper. He was the best Mini Cooper driver here in Portugal, so good genes that actually allowed Manuel Gião to get a solid foundation for his career. Of course, the Kia EV6 is an electric battery vehicle, but it also won Car of the Year award and several other awards this year.
Here is the fantastic Peugeot 3008 DGR, a car built for the Dakar Rally. This is a unit that belongs to the personal collection now of André Villas-Boas, the football coach that everyone knows. At the wheel is Gonçalo Magalhães, and he's already started an impressive car here also at Caramulo Motorfestival. As we keep saying, it's a very interesting gathering of cars, all sizes, shapes, times, dates, and we even have a cross-country car and desert rally prepare car like this one here. Now on the start, one of the units that I told you about the Jeep attack area, it's the Porsche 356 from the Portuguese traffic patrol, traffic police. GNR. One of the few units that we have here in Portugal registered that are a cabriolet version. Very interesting car, this one. Now we have the bikes going up, also a sidecar bike. The Porsche I was speaking about, it's a Porsche Cabrio 356B from 1961. It has a 1.6 cubic centimeters engine, only 2 seats. This is the end of another one of the groups that are finishing his climb. We are getting to the half of this final day of Caramulo Motorfestival here in Portugal. The sun now is being blinded by some of the clouds, but it will be passenger for sure. Weather here is, as usual, always fantastic. Invitation for everyone to come here to Caramulo to enjoy everything that is prepared year by year in a growing auto-themed festival. So now we have this small pause, small waiting time until the cars come back down from the climb, and we prepare the next group of cars that will go up in the next point of the agenda. This will be like this until more 6 to 7 hours until the end of the day. And it is the moment that we are also going to know the classification of the competitions that are here being held, the Kia GT Cup Regional Ramp, and also the Chrono Masters reserved to the cars that are competing in the regularity classification, and also the Speed Master, just for speed as the name implies. So it will still be a long day here, and typically, traditionally around lunchtime, people will start to gather here more and more to totally fill every available space here in Caramulo around the fabulous museum that is located here with a permanent collection and also temporary collections. The temporary collection, for information, that is being held at the moment is all about supercars with the magnificent gathering of fabulous cars. For example, they have here on the temporary collection the Lamborghini Diablo VT, Jaguar XJ 2020, Porsche Carrera GT, Porsche 918 Spider, or for example the Mercedes AMG GT Black Series, the Aston Martin V12 Speedster, Ferrari Roma, McLaren 675 LT, or for example the wonderful Ford GT40 Mark II continuation. And also one of the stars of that temporary exhibition is the Ferrari Monza SP2, a car that belongs to the newly launched Icona segment. And it is only available for selected customers of the Italian make from Ferrari. So many points of interest. It's also areas prepared for a family experience during the weekend. Places for the youngsters to also have some fun. Small tracks, electric car tracks, slot car tracks. For example, one of the slot car tracks is marking the 50th anniversary of the Autódromo do Estoril, the first fixed circuit in Portugal. It's celebrating 50 years of age now. And everything that is related to the classic automobile industry and collectibles, memorabilia, classic car parts, everything can be found in the large area that is transformed year by year here in Caramulo to provide the visitors with everything that they would want or searching for in the classic cars area, and also the fun moments, cooling moments being around classic cars all around. Special interviews and
Still a beautiful day. Rain is expected tomorrow, which is really nice because we appreciate all this dry weather condition during the event. you can guess that Caramulo is a bit windy, with all those energy windmills here. It's a great spot for that. So renewable energy here provided by the wind at Caramulo Hill. The Caramulo Museum, as we referred yesterday, combines an art collection and a car collection. They were both built in the 1950s by two brothers. One was an art collector and the other one was a petrol head that raced here in Portugal with a wide variety of cars. João Lacerda, he also participated at the original Mille Miglia and also at the Monte Carlo Rally. He used cars like the Citroën Traction A20, a 6-cylinder car, and then the DKW, also a smaller car, that he also used at Monte Carlo Rally in the early 1950s. And now here with me I have Tiago Patricio Gouveia. Tiago is grandson of João Lacerda, the founder of the Caramulo Museum and the petrol head that I was talking to you about. Tiago, there's a lot of work, of course, involved in all the activities of the museum. You organize exhibitions and, well, in this event that I assume is the most important one, because that's when everyone comes to your home, comes to Caramulo to see the museum either the first time or to revisit it, and also for this event. Tell us of the importance of actually doing things here so that people can come to Caramulo.
Adeline, I think you summed it up so well that you actually answered the question. But that's exactly right. And this is the moment of the year, the big moment of the year, when we invite everyone, petrolhead or people that are not as close to the historic vehicle movement, to visit our home, to visit our headquarters, and have a feeling of what it is, a festival with classic cars, and have the chance to look at classic cars, classic vehicles, motorcycles, bicycles, and also modern vehicles too, being used, as we used to say, as we normally say, as they should, being driven, and on the hill being driven fast. But it's also an opportunity to meet all the clubs that get together here, all the enthusiasts, all the participants, and we have this fantastic mix of people and interests that get together here. We also have off-road, and we have an off-road track, and so we have all these dimensions that come together. And of course we also always organize something special in the museum, a temporary exhibition. This year is supercars. And we also prepare the museum for this event all year round to make this the high point of the year at Caramulo.
Tell us a little bit more. We all would like to know a bit more about your grandfather, João Lacerda, the founder. How was it to be a grandson of such a car enthusiast with a vision for this project that continues after, of course, he's gone, but we still feel his presence here every time you come to Caramulo.
Well, thank God I'm not the only grandson, because those are some fairly big shoes to fill in. But it's a privilege, it's an honor, and it's a fantastic legacy that our grandfather left us, and that we've been working hard to carry on and improve. And I'm absolutely sure he will be very, very proud of all that we've accomplished and how far we brought his dream, his museum, his passion, and we are very happy with the result.
In many ways, he was not a very common collector, because he loved to use the cars. That was one of the mantras that belonged to this collection. But he had some criteria when choosing the cars for the collection. Can you tell us a bit about that?
That's right. He was a true collector, in the sense that he didn't amass cars, he collected cars. He also sold cars that he found that didn't have the interest he was looking for, didn't make sense anymore in the collection. He didn't like clutter, so he didn't just get cars in. He made sure the collection made sense. He selected them, but some of the times, and I wouldn't say all the times, but probably a lot of them, he sold the cars because he simply didn't like driving them. And that's something that was so important to him, to drive the cars, to get them on the road, to have them run properly, to have them properly maintained, and to take out of them a good driving experience. And of course that brought in some of his passions. Naturally, the 300 XL he used a lot. We still have it in our collection. Our Bugatti collection in the museum, we have 5 Bugattis. One of them is the Bugatti baby, but it's still a Bugatti. And his 57C that he loved, he drove it through all across the world. He did a couple of rallies in Swiss, Bugatti International rallies in Sweden. He drove the car to Sweden, drove the car back to Portugal. He took it by road, and that was truly his passion. One of the nice compliments I had working here a few years back was that someone came in the museum and said, you don't have one single car that's in perfect condition. You don't have a single car that doesn't have a fault. But we look at them and you can see they are used, they are driven, and they have the kinks and dents and tear and wear that comes with it.
Salvador, your brother told me that you keep finding old parts and things that your father stored for future usage. How important is this, that the fact that you keep receiving gifts from your grandfather in the form of things that he thought were very interesting, and it's very helpful that he bought them and now you can use it to keep the collection?
I think that says a lot about the person, right? Because to have that foresight of selecting, being able to select what's important, what is not, what should I store, what should I leave for the future, and then in the future you're receiving them and realizing that actually they are very useful and very important, and thank God that they were passed on. It says a lot about the person. And
also in some car collections, what happens is the collector is unable to actually pass the interest for the next generations. But when we see the history of the museum, we see the Christmas postcards with all the grandsons and granddaughters, the grandchildren around the cars. That was actually very smart from your grandfather to actually do this.
Yes, it was, and I saw lots of collections and collectors that weren't able to pass on that level of afición, of interest, of enthusiasm. And well, he did it very well, because he has 8 grandchildren and all of them loved the cars, loved the bikes, loved driving them. and we've been passing on to our children now. So his great grandchild, our grandchildren, are also carrying on the legacy, and that's fantastic. And we've been doing our best, as my generation has been doing our best to pass it on to our children as well. And we don't have, I think one of them now has a driving license. Unfortunately, he's not racing here this weekend. He could for the first time, but he has to study.
Yeah.
I hope he
Sure,
studies hard.
that comes first.
But I'm sure we haven't inaugurated that mark where one of the great grandchildren drives a car on the hill climb, but I'm sure it's pretty close.
Great. And Tiago, the museum already does a lot of things, of course, Motorfestival being the landmark event, but you are preparing to return to the fair and motor show in Lisbon next year, which is called Motor Clásico.
Yeah.
What are the other projects that you are trying to put up to continue to extend the footprint of the museum in the classic car program here in Portugal?
Well, one I've seen you mention it, but one that we've just inaugurated this April was the new workshop, because all the cars in the museum, all the vehicles work, and we wanted to be sure that we leave to the future the capacity to keep all the cars working and all the vehicles working. We are on top of a mountain, away from classic car garages, and we have a very big collection to be sending cars out here left and right. And so we decided to expand that business, and we just inaugurated a space called Caramulo Experience Center, where it's not only a workshop, but it's also a museum. It's visitable. You can buy a ticket and visit the museum, and also has spaces to organize events in. So this just amplified our capacity to host and to keep our cars running and to grow on our knowledge of the cars and our knowledge of how to repair them, how to keep them on the road. And it's something we share, because we repair cars for the public. For anyone that wants to repair a car, they can come to us, and we'll do it for third parties, not only for ourselves. So we are also sharing that knowledge and that capacity, which is something that we are very happy to do. And apart from that, you said it well. We started in 2004 the Motor Classic event in Lisbon. It's a trade fair. It's a show, classic car show, and we are going to put it up to again next year. And we're very glad to bring that event back. We stopped for the pandemic, and we didn't do it this year either. So we're very happy to bring it back next year. But also, very importantly, we've been working hard with clubs in Portugal to make sure that the run that celebrates the first competition held in the country in 1902, called the Figueira da Foz Lisboa. We've been working very hard with ACP and other clubs to put that run back on the road. We are introducing some changes on the event, on the schedule of the event. It used to be a one-day event. We're going to do it a two-day event, so the run will be shorter per day. It's the same distance.
That will be the Founders Run. Founders
Run. It's called this year Founders Run, and it's going to have more social components, so we can meet and talk and relax a little bit, not just drive the cars like we used to do like mad from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we're doing that, and we hope and we think that's a very important event. It mustn't be forgotten, because it celebrates the first racing event held in Portugal in 1902, which then originated the club, our national club, Automóvel Clube Portugal, ACP, and it's actually the first proper competition that held in the Iberian Peninsula, and it's a very early on event in the world as well, and so it's something that we shouldn't lose, and we're working hard to put that back on the road.
Okay, Tiago, it was great to have you here and talk with you a bit about this. Thank you on behalf of every enthusiast here in Portugal for the work you and the team of Caramulo have done, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone following us and everyone that came to visit us today. Thank you.
And now we are back here on the start, and just to show you this fantastic Jap bike, a sidecar bike, which is driven by Martin Knight and helped by Billy McNichol. Welcome to Caramulo. This is a fantastic experience, going up the hill, almost 3 kilometers with a bike, with a sidecar, and the monkey besides you that needs to help you for the turn so you can go as fast as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Without the monkey, I'm in trouble, you know. And it's such a great festival. We need more of them to see the history of Portugal, the history of its racing and everything. It's very important, and it's very well organized. It's a great show. Yesterday I took Salvador up the hill, one of the gentlemen from the museum, and he had a smile on his face. So that's what it's about.
Okay, see, he was the monkey on service yesterday. He is Courage. Tell us a little bit about this fantastic unit that you brought us here to Caramulo this year. Let's come here so our camera can also approach and probably try to show us a little bit some of the details of this Jap bike.
It's made in character of the period. It has a competition, not a road engine. It's a competition engine that runs on methanol. It was one of the best engines for 25 years. They are superb. I can't tell you how good they are.
No hassle.
No,
Hassle-free.
well, not exactly hassle-free, but they're a performance engine. They're exhilarating. They pull from 0 revolutions all the way through. The bike handles quite nicely. So it's fully tuned. Like I said, it runs on methanol. It runs a lot cooler. It gives you 25% more performance. It has a tuned exhaust pipe with no silencer, and it's just great fun.
We could hear that it has no silencer. From which year is it?
Approximately 36, 37.
Approximately, okay. I will take that as a proper answer. Now let's speak here with Billy. Billy, you are sitting here, no seat belts, nothing that can fix you to the bike, but you have a job. You need to do something here. Tell us what.
You have to hang on for dear life. And I know when he's getting confident because he gets my head closer to the barrier. Okay. And you have to hold on really tight.
So what you do here, you are just shifting your weight so we can compensate with the G-forces, with the centripetal force, so the bike can turn faster.
Yeah, as we go around a left-hand turn, I have to hang out as far left as possible so that the bike doesn't flip that way, and he has to follow suit. And when they're right, I have to jump to the right to keep him on as well.
So you put your head out of the bike at what speed?
What speed is it? 60, 70 miles an hour.
60, 70 miles, so around 100 kilometers per hour. Okay, you are a brave man. Thank you very much. This is the Jap sidecar bike with Martin and Billy, one of the units that are present here, and also on the Bikersville area that is also a part of Caramulo Motorfestival.
The racing activity continues here at the Caramulo Motorfestival. Waiting to start is Fernando Filho with Porsche 911 GT3 RS 996 generation 2002 car that is competing in the modern cars category. It's a bit cloudy at the moment. We are not with the number 140 with a Porsche 911 GT2 RS, a car from the 991.2 or phase 2 generation. It's Pedro Salvador. He is driving this, which probably is the most powerful car here at the event this year. The GT2 RS is the most powerful production Porsche with bi-turbo engine and roughly 700 brake horsepower at the rear wheels. So it's great that Pedro is a great driver and he will be taming this beast until the top of the hill. We have now already waiting the order to go. Alexis Silvalopes with the Porsche 911 GT3 from the 992 generation. The GT3 is a normally aspirated version of the 6-cylinder Boxer. And now for something completely different, Citroën Visa. The Visa was a bit of an ugly duckling for Citroën, and its strange look was nonetheless balanced by being a very reliable and strong little car that handled very well and was extensively used, particularly in rallies. In Portugal it was very popular, and there was a whole series dedicated to him that comprised rally and circuit racing. The Visa, the competition versions, of course, were very different among. There was the Mille Pistes, perhaps the most well-known. It was a four-wheel drive car, and the Trophée, also with the same engine but only front-wheel drive. We are now again with Alfa Romeo, a brand very much present here at Caramulo. This is a GTV 2000 model. Not many people know that some of these cars were actually assembled in Portugal. They arrived in completely knocked down form, and they were assembled in Portugal. 2-liter engine twin cam, of course, the famous Bialbero engine of Alfa Romeo, 132 brake horsepower. That would be the DIN measurement. The SIA would be about 150 brake horsepower. More than enough to actually make this car a very fast one. Not a Porsche 911, in this case a 964 version. Carrera 4, which means four-wheel drive. There was actually very little weight difference between the two-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive version of this generation's Porsche 911. Taking to receive the green light is a Porsche 944. These front-engine Porsches had their special days in the 1980s. The first one was, of course, the 924 four-cylinder engine, but the 954 engine was particularly complex and very, very smooth, and a great handling car. Also, of course, used in competition with very good results and a cup of their own. And now we go back in time a little bit more, and we leave the 80s for the 1950s. And a very early Austin Healey 100 is already waiting to go. This British-made car has a four-cylinder engine, a very light car, and with a distinctive windshield that you can actually have in two positions. This is the upright position, but for improving top speed, you can actually recline that windshield a bit more, and you can then attain a speed of more than 160 kilometers an hour. A great car, and with some great racing versions, particularly the Austin Healey 100S, which was the competition version of that car. I'm already seeing a much modern car here at the start. It's the Lotus Exige. Central, with its engine positioned in central position. It's a very, very light car. It doesn't need much power to be incredibly fast, but this, of course, surely has more than 200 brake horsepower, perhaps a little bit more than that. Colin Chapman, the creator of Lotus Motor Company, of course, had his mantra was to add lightness at any opportunity. These cars had Rover and then later Toyota engines. And in Caramulo Motorfestival, you always have to expect the unexpected, and that's the reason why we have this umbrella with wheels on the starting grid. We call it the Citroën 2 chevaux, 2 horses, that actually is about to start. Very smooth, hiding its abilities, because of course it can climb much faster. but let's keep it steady. Important thing will be to arrive there, chugging the 2-cylinder engine up the top of the hill with its exquisite gear shift that looks like a cradle, unbreakable, and developed at the end of just after the Second World War, and ready to be able to propel a French farmer and some groceries to the local market. It leans, but it never rolls, so it's clearly a faithful companion for every trip. And you can also use it for racing if you really need to. A very fine-looking Porsche 911 SC from 1978, driven by Rui Silva Carvalho, is already waiting here. In its grey livery, it looks every bit the executive sports car. But it still has a very powerful engine. In this version, it would range between 180 and 204 brake horsepower for the SC series. The Porsche 911, of course, has very good traction with all the weight on over most of the weight on top of the rear wheels. I have with me Francisco Cruz Martins. He's doing some co-drives in Porsche 911, 996 generation GT3.
997.
Okay, 997. So Francisco, tell me, how's the event going for you?
Very good, very good. I've been fortunate to be here almost 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, so 2007. And you can see how it has grown, and it's grown to become something really special. No, here you see so many people and so many different motorsport fans coming together. So it's been really fun so far.
And could you tell us a bit about the challenge of driving here, the characteristics of the hill climb from a driver's perspective? What are the main challenges here when you go and try to go as fast as possible, which of course is not what you're doing this year?
No, so I'm much more used to circuit driving, which gives us the time to get more used to the track, right, and know what we're doing. Here you have to more or less use all your hill climbs to get to know the corners very well, and then to try to push on the next time, and that's not easy, you know, going around and not really being sure. You're always driving a little bit on that edge, and it's not a good edge to be on, no, on a good machine like that.
Okay, Francisco, thank you very much for dropping by and allow us another view of this event, and I hope you continue to have great fun and enjoy your rides up the hill. Thank you very much. Oh, we've just witnessed the Opel Kadett GTE starting his race up the hill, driven by Miguel Porto. It's a 1977 car. We now have a glimpse of the off-road circuit here at Caramulo. That's a great way to test the capabilities of all-terrain vehicles, classic and modern. And if you can see, you can spot that big tent up there. That's where we are talking and commenting. The Subaru Impreza WRX from 1998. Actually a 2001 car with those with that bug-eyed front. We are ending our transmission in a few minutes. It's been a real pleasure to be able to share with you these special moments here at the Hill Climb. So we've seen the Jaguar D-Type continuation up the climb. Beautiful, beautiful car with great shape, very aerodynamic, designed to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which it actually did 3 times. And for another Jaguar, of course, much more modern, the Jaguar XJ 220. 220 being the projected top speed in miles per hour, which is the equivalent of 340 kilometers an hour. In the late 90s, there were several supercars aiming to be at the top regarding this competition, unofficial competition, and the Jaguar XJ 220 was one of the contenders, alongside the Ferrari F50 and the McLaren F1. This car has a V6 engine, a turbo engine. That's the same engine used in RV6 Metro rally car, the Group B version of the Metro car. Rear-wheel drive only.
And there it goes up the hill. At the moment that we'll be finishing, we will also be saying goodbye to our viewers of Motorsport TV. Thank you very much to all of you that were with us during yesterday's transmission and also today. Total of 4 hours taking you some of the images that are building up the Caramulo Motorfestival edition of 2022. So with these fantastic images from our region of Caramulo, right in the heart of the center of Portugal, it's the moment to once again say thank you to all of you, say goodbye. Maybe we'll be with you next year, as we hope it will happen, for the next edition of Caramulo that will for sure be bigger and better. For me, Júlio Sousa, Adelino.
Yeah, I think it was a real pleasure to be here and be able to share with you our comments on this magnificent event. Well, we hope that next year you are able to be here in person and watch this in live here, directly here. But if not, perhaps we can transmit this live again and tell you all about it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.